Civilization 5, I think everyone can see the big obvious change from the beginning. It's hexes. How does that impact gameplay?
Well, hexes impact gameplay in a few different ways. The most obvious is the way that units move around the map. You can move in any direction, it's consistent. From an art style perspective, you can actually have more organic feeling on the display or on the game map. So you have naturally flowing rivers, the mountain ranges, rolling hills. It all feels a lot more alive and vibrant. Oftentimes with older versions of Civ, especially with square tiles, you can have two catty-corner land tiles or two catty-corner water tiles. It's not always apparent to the player if you can actually move a unit from one tile to the other. There might be a land bridge, but somehow you can still get a boat from one corner to the other. Hexes kind of remove that bottleneck. You can easily look at a map and see exactly where you can and can't go. It's just removes a lot of the ambiguity.
The units, how you place the units must change a lot as well. And you've decided to go with more of a one unit per tile approach for this one. Can you tell us a little bit about the reasoning behind that?
A lot of the military game in past versions of Civilization revolves around stacks. You'd stack any number of units in a tile. Our fan community calls that stacks of doom because they can get pretty large. This usually favored the civilization that had the biggest numbers advantage. And what we wanted to do is kind of pull the combat out of the cities. Every tile is important. Every land feature is important. Defending a hill, defending across a river. And every unit's important because units are more expensive now. They don't die immediately. You can bring them with you throughout the game, upgrading them as you go along. You're going to be maintaining your army a lot more carefully, and instead of just having to have lots and lots of units everywhere. And we're really excited about that because it brings a lot more strategy into play. Instead of just moving a single stack, now you're actually managing units. You're protecting ranged units. You're keeping people away from your cities. We're just really excited about the possibilities that offers.
If we take a look at the cities, how have they changed since Civilization 4?
Well, cities work a little differently. I mean, a lot of people ask themselves, if there's no stacks, how do you even defend the cities? First and foremost, again, we're encouraging people to take the fight out of the cities, defend the surrounding terrain instead. If your lines fail, you have military units around your city. Your city can defend itself. The bigger it is, the stronger it is, the more hit points it has. You can garrison a unit inside a city, that'll make it stronger. If you give it certain upgrades, for instance, if you research masonry, you'll be able to build walls. Walls will actually allow the city to bombard outward 2 hexes and further defend itself. Obviously, once it's surrounded, it's under siege. It's not going to last long, but it'll still give you enough time to hopefully get help there.
Another area that seems to have changed a bit is the diplomacy, and perhaps it's a little bit more complex than it used to be. Can you tell us about that?
Diplomacy, traditional diplomacy in Civilization, interacting with other leaders, is going to feel very similar in some aspects, but the addition of full-screen leaders set in their scenes, being able to see the entire body, to look at their body language, really can tell how they feel, is really going to bring players into diplomacy like never before. They speak their own language. You're going to be able to see a mood on their face. They also have agendas in the background. Our lead designer, John Schaefer, is going to great lengths to make these players more interesting to play against. It's not just going to be subtle math in the background. They're actually going to have a certain way that they like to play.
During the demo, I don't know if it was just for demo purposes, but it wasn't all black when you started. Will it work the same way that you sort of scouts, you see, and you expand the map when you explore?
Yes, we just turn off Fog of War for the demo just so you can kind of see the expanse of the world. You're going to have the same Fog of War feel to it. And, what you saw there was obviously not final because we're pre-alpha, but you're going to see the same billowy clouds, and as you explore outward, it'll reveal a little bit more of the map as you're going out.
So, because to me, the sense of exploration is like the best thing about Civilization. I just sometimes I just start up game after game after game just to do that first few hours when you explore the map.
Yeah. And you know what? That you're going to have that same feeling with this. And city-states even bring a little bit more to this because you're not just finding another Civ. Now you're finding city-states. They all have unique needs, unique requests. There's a lot more to do in the early game than maybe we've ever had before, which is really cool.
Seems like almost like a mission-based structure in that sense.
In some ways it is. To city-states, that is distinct to them. They're going to be asking you to do stuff to gain that friendship. It's very worthwhile. Obviously, if they're being overrun by barbarians, you're going to want to help them with that because if you do, you get bonuses from them and you can maintain that relationship. Likewise, if you're getting bonuses from a city-state, another civilization might be inclined to take that city from you. It gives you another reason to defend it. And it just offers more choices to the player. And I think the more choices that the player has when they play a game like Civilization, the better, because it's all about crafting a world to suit your needs. If you're a builder, you can play as a builder. If you're a warmonger, you play as a warmonger. It's just more choices.
Speaking of the players, maybe we should finish off a little bit how you're trying to integrate the fan community into Civilization 5.
Sure. Modding is one of our biggest changes in the game. We're actually adding the ability within the game to allow anybody to browse, search, download, rate, and install mods right from within Civ 5. You don't have to have knowledge of hardcore fan sites. You don't have to have knowledge of where the mods live online. You can just do it right from within the game. Authors will have access to tools that they've never had before. Or I shouldn't say that they've never had before. The tools now are just far eclipse anything they've had before. The standalone world builder is an example of that. We've created an application for the world builder. It doesn't exist in the game anymore. Now it's actually something where anybody, regardless of skill level, regardless of programming level, can create their own worlds to play in very easily. Just to amplify one point, Civilization 4, or Civilization 5 is every bit as moddable as Civilization 4. I want to make sure of that because I read on some of the fan sites they're worried about the level of moddability. But I think everybody's going to love the tools that we're bringing out to even take that to a higher level.
We look forward to playing it.
I look forward to releasing it.